Hey, good day. Curious Dude here with an update on Van Gogh. So if you watched the last episode, you'll notice that we were having some trouble with the engine. And yeah, catastrophic failure is actually probably the best way to say what kind of trouble we had. So I'm going to give you a quick sneak peek, closer look at what's been going on here. Okay, so we have pulled the rocker arms off. We've pulled out the push rod tubes. We pulled out the push rods. We've taken all the bolts, nuts off. And so now we're going to pull the head. This is on 3 and 4, which was the one that seemed to be the worst. So this is our first time at it. Well, Chris, give it a go ahead, man. Give it a couple of wiggles and see if it's pretty fused on there. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And just pull it directly off. There we go. Yeah. Good, good. Now just set it down. No, other way up, so the camera can see the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So let's take a look. Oh dear God. Okay, well this will be interesting. Let's take a closer look. What do we got going on there? Well, what do we got going on there? The cylinder. The top of the head is actually smashed to complete hell. Wow. Yeah, that's a surprise. I can see on the other cylinder, if we look there, that I can see pieces of gold-colored bronze, which would be valve guides. So some pieces of the valve guide have broken off and they've been chewed around in the cylinder there. And that is not good. And not surprisingly, if we were to look inside the cylinder, we would also see the cylinder number 4. The piston is absolutely destroyed, absolutely hammered. And I can see bits of bronze in there. Oof, that's not good.
You know,
Both cylinders are pounded. Wow. Well, there's no way that was ever going to run correctly in any way. That is well, I would just call that is catastrophic damage. That cylinder there, that is just nasty. Just nasty, nasty. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, we know why it wasn't running right. We know why we had all kinds of issues. And I guess that's going to dictate next steps, but it's looking like a lot of new steps. New heads, new pistons and bores, probably full rebuild. We'll do a little bit more inspection, but that gives you a first glance at what we're dealing with. You can do the honors. Let us see what we got going on. Now, that tin might grab it here. Is the tin grabbing it? Yep. Okay, try that. All right. Okay, flip it over for the camera. Put it right in front. Oh. Put it right up.
like right here.
No, like this here. First look at it. Okay. So that's what it should look like. Like that's just carbon and yeah. Nothing wrong with that. That's okay, minus the fact that it's completely clogged with dirt and dust. And if we look in here, take a little closer look at the piston tops. You know, like, what do we got here? Like, you know, a little bit of carbon on both of them, but like, you know, there's no damage to those pistons. Not like we saw on the other side. So yeah, okay, so that's been interesting. Let's take a look at both heads together. All right, well, the first thing to start with is, if you saw in the video, we noticed that this is cylinder number 3 and 4. And if you look close, like you can see that we've got valve guide material, that's the bronze guide material, embedded in the head itself. And there's quite a bit of damage, and that would be on both cylinders 3 and 4. There's actually a really nasty gouge there. And actually, if we tilt the head over, and look, I can actually physically move the guide up and down. It's pretty incredible actually. So I can actually, it's actually loose inside the head. Okay, this is a little hard to see. I want to just show you what the valve guide does. The valve guide goes up into the head and then slides back down out of the head and up into the head and back down in the head. That's not good. And the bottom of it's all broken off as it rode around on the valve. So, yeah, game over for these heads. So that's not good. That's real bad. So what happened, of course, is that part of the valve guide, bottom of it, the brass broke off and got sucked in the chamber and smashed around, and it happened in both cases here. Anyways, so if we look at the piston top, we can see the damage here, and there's a slight bit of damage on the cylinder wall, and then of course we're gonna have the same issue going on here with this would be number 3 here. And number 4, but it's yeah, it's not good. So what I'm gonna do is once we're settled with the fact that okay, the motor's destroyed, you should never really reuse bus heads anyways, so like it needs a full rebuild. I'm not gonna get away with just making the original surviving engine run. So now we're in a different scope. But one thing I noticed here was just as I took it apart, is I noticed that if you look at the adjustment nuts on these rockers on that side, if we go over to the other side, it's an interesting thing. It's actually, some of these are actually smaller than they should be. So I don't know what to make of that. Like, it's almost like they're mismatched. These two are big and those two are smaller. I don't know if they're off a Type 1 or a different engine altogether. So that, yeah, it makes me a little bit concerned. You know, maybe it's not a big deal. This side, you know, if we look at, this would be number 2, the cylinder looks fine, cylinder number 1. Just have to get light in there, but I mean, the cylinder walls are very, very polished. There's not really any crosshatch visible or anything. Like, they're, you know, they're very, very smooth. And I know from my experience with the original owner of the bus, you know, he wasn't really big on maintenance. And I mean, I don't want to say he didn't change oil often, but he, you know, he drove it, he toured it, and the bus only has, you know, 80,000 miles on it, but it has some hard miles on it. Probably lots of heat climbing through the Canadian mountains, infrequent oil changes. So I'm sure internally it's a little bit worn out. Some neat things about buying a low mileage bus, I've said before, but you know, pretty neat to go underneath here. This bus was never driven in the winter, so, which is really incredible for where we live. So, you know, you've got your original paint, no rust damage, original seam sealer with the paint on it. You got some inspection marks here, factory part number visible. I would expect that what we've got is a very, very, very original bus. I would expect that the engine would also be very, very original. Next step, I'm going to pull off the cylinders. We're going to take a look at the piston a little bit more closely, or pistons, all 4 of them. And I'm going to slowly tear it down. I'm really leaning towards actually rebuilding this myself, assuming the crank and rods, you know, spec out okay. You know, we'll kind of go from there. If not, I'll be looking to buy a you know, a complete long block from, you know, probably Mofoco, some sort of a reputable builder. There are some in Canada for sure. And if you have any suggestions, let me know. I'm not looking to spend $10,000 on this engine. I'm looking to spend about $5,000 in total, and I still need to buy some carbs. So if I could get a long block for that $4,000 to $5,000 range, that'd be great. I figure I can rebuild one myself if the case is okay for a little bit less. So thanks for checking out my video. That gives you a little update of what happened here. And watch for the next video where we'll do a more deep teardown on the engine.